Welcome to Stukent Expert Sessions. The presentation will begin shortly.
Hello everyone, my name is Tierra, and I just want to start by saying thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak with you today about how to run an organization while being a student, specifically college students. So before I get into my presentation, I just want to introduce myself to everyone and tell you a little bit more about myself. So as I stated before, my name is Tierra Hall, and I am the founder of Fantasy Scrubs, LLC. I am also a graduate from Alabama A&M University, where I received my bachelor's degree in sports management and my master's degree in kinesiology. I currently also have another business called Tease Vending, where I own a couple of vending machines and gumball machines, candy machines. And I'm also a full-time worker. So some people may say that I'm doing too much at once, but honestly, I feel like I'm not doing a lot, or I'm not doing enough. I can really be doing more. But I am grateful to have this opportunity to talk to you all about my business and to give you all some tips on how to start a business while being a student. So I would like to start off with things that I go by every day, and that is my 4 major rules to remember as a new business owner. These rules have helped me tremendously figure out who I am and what I want my business to be about. So my first point is to always be confident in what you're doing. If you don't have confidence, the business can be a little shaky. You want to be confident in yourself. You want to be confident in the work you put in, the products that you're selling, anything that you're doing when it comes to a business. You always want to be confident. And that goes into my second bulletin. You always want to be organized when you're doing a business. And this will be your key to success. If you're organized, it'll be a lot easier for you to, figure out your orders or make sure like payments have been made. You always want to keep receipts. You always even want to keep your rough drafts because they can help you eventually in your future. I have a notebook, which is my third point. I have a notebook that I keep that has every single of my recipes, things I need to order, my drafts, my practice ingredients, or, things like that. So like I said in the third point, you always want to keep notes on everything you do because eventually it can help you in the long run. So a notebook or an agenda and a pen will be your strongest tools. Honestly, it'll be your best friend because if you write everything down, then it's just easier to maintain. And then my fourth bulletin that I have to live by every single day is to just let certain people go. Because while you're opening your business, there are going to be some people that that may doubt you and say like, oh, I don't think this is a good idea. Or they'll just try to stir you away from starting a business and tell you like you're better off just working your 9-to-5. And no one is better off working a 9-to-5. I want everyone to remember that. You can do anything that you put your heart to. So never let anybody tell you that you cannot do something. Those type of people are people that just need to be let go because they're going to just keep bringing that negative aura into your space, and you want all the positive space that you can get from family, friends, pets. Even so, that sounds weird, but it actually can. It works. You just have to understand like everyone is not here to support you. So if you have friends that just don't want to support you or they're telling you that you can't do it, it's the best thing for you to do is just to let them go. Because you're becoming a new person when you start a business. You're now on a new pedestal, and they're not on that same pedestal, so they will never understand what to do or how it feels to be on that specific pedestal. So to continue on with my presentation, I want to talk about the things that you must know as a business owner. When I first got into it, I was always stressed out, and it comes to my first and second bulletin. It's not easy, but it can be done. The first part of opening a business can be stressful because of the fact that you're trying to get everything together, and sometimes it's just all over the place, if you understand what I'm saying. There may be times where you think you have everything, but then out of nowhere you remember, like, oh, I need this, or oh, I need this. And sometimes when you have a thought like that, it may push you back, which is okay, but sometimes it's not, because if you already, like, say if you already had a date where your grand opening was, but you totally forgot to order shipping boxes, and you need shipping boxes, but the shipping boxes won't come in like until the 2 weeks from your grand opening. So that can be something that can become stressful, because now you have to wait and figure out, okay, what can I do in order to keep my business going? Usually what I would do, I always have backups. So if I don't have boxes, I always have shipping bags. I always have shipping bags, and I always make sure that I have stuffing for my shipping bags. Because, like I said, if you run out of your shipping boxes, you can say, okay, well, let me just use these for now. And then when my boxes get here, then I can just transfer back to my boxes. So it's always a good thing to just have extra or have more than what you need for certain things like that. But I kind of got off track, but coming back in. Okay, so the next thing, well, let me go back to the stress. Stress is going to be something that you will have to endure as a business owner. It's just common, but figure out ways to diminish that stress. If that's just, walking away from it for a couple of minutes, going to sit outside, yoga, exercising, taking a walk, taking a drive, anything that helps you with your stress, make sure you do it, because you don't want to work while being stressed, because once you're stressed, a lot of your products won't be at their best state, and you want all of your products to look perfect in a way. Honestly, everything that you ship out, you want it to be spot on. You don't want to miss anything. You don't want to have any misspells. You don't grammar, punctuation, ingredients. You always want to just be top of your game. There was one time I was under a lot of stress, but I was also making orders, and I had to throw away my entire order because I left out maybe about 2 to 3 key ingredients. And I told myself I cannot sell this, because that, in my mind, I'm lying to my customers, saying that, oh, there's these items in your products, but I didn't make it. So I wasted a lot of money, wasted a lot of time, wasted a lot of energy, and then I was more stressed out, after than I was before. So every time you're stressed out, it's easier just to walk away when you start to feel stressed out. Don't sit in it. Always just walk away. My next step, or next point, is just be prepared to cut back, because running a business and being a student at the same time is hard. You have to do a lot of balancing. And I'm assuming if you're in school, you have a full-time job too. So you're balancing school, full-time job, and a full-time business. So like I stated before, having an agenda or a notebook to make sure everything is organized for your life and your business is just literally the best thing that you can do. Be prepared to cut back on sleep, because if you get some orders at one time, there was one time I got about 4 orders and they were all different. And with my business, I make everything made to order. I don't have any of my items sitting out. So if one person orders a rose scrub and then another person orders one of my elderberry bars, another person orders a turmeric scrub, and the other person orders a turmeric bar, all of those products get made that same day it's been ordered. And then the next day, it will be shipped off. So when it comes to things like that, you just always want to know that it is mandatory for you to just cut back on things so you can make sure you get things with your business done, because people don't want to wait for their product or their orders. Once they order it, they want it within that week. Now, I have had an issue where I had an order and I had to order more products because she ordered more than what I had. So me ordering products pushed my shipment date back because my shipment for my products didn't come until about 3 to 4 days after she purchased these products. So in that case, I always will email my customers and say, hey, I'm sorry for the delay, but I just want to tell you that your shipment will be in as soon as possible. Since for my delay, I will add an extra elderberry bar for free. I always, if I'm having a shipment problem, I'm always adding things for free because I always want my customers to come back. I don't want them to feel like, oh, they just have to wait until I get it and then they just get what they got. And they're happy they got their products, but it took me forever to send it to them. So you always just want to think about the customer. Think about if you were the customer. Like if your shipment didn't come in until 2 weeks after you purchased, you probably wouldn't want to order from them again because just off of shipment, because shipment is a big deal. So I guess that cuts into valuable time. That the valuable time that you used to have with like your friends and family, you may have to cut back for situations like this because you have to have everything organized in your business. And if your friends are really your friends and your family members love you dearly, they will understand. Like, you're running a business, so that's going to take a good amount of time out of your day, especially if your business is like getting in orders every day. They just have to understand, like, I have to cater to my business before I can go out and hang with you guys. And then another thing that you have to be prepared to cut back on is spending. I can honestly say that spending was my toughest area because I'm a big spender. Honestly, I love to shop. I love to buy things for my house. I love to buy shoes, clothes, things for my dog, everything. Anything that satisfies me, I'm most likely buying it. So I had to learn to cut back because I was noticing that it was cutting into my spending for my business. Like, I would spend, honestly, $200 on shoes and then just think like, man, I could have used that $200 to get a new printer or a shipping label or a soap cutter, things like that. So just be aware of what you're spending. And I would also have just like a drawer or, something, a folder with like a small folder that you can put your money in, and that'll be your spending money instead of you just like, oh, I got this, and then just going out and spending. My next bulletin is remember that you're a student first. I understand opening a business, it can take away a lot of your time, but never forget what you're spending thousands of dollars on. You are in school for a reason. You've chosen to be in school for something. I completely understand if your business blows up and you start making millions and you just want to, focus on your business, but sometimes it's just not like that. So you always just want to make sure that you're making time for your studies. You don't want to go downwards while you're doing a business either. Just remember that you didn't waste thousands of dollars for nothing. Your education, if you're in school, then you told yourself that your education is very important to you. So make sure you know and understand what is important to you always. And my last bulletin, it's okay to ask for help. When I first started my business, I was very skeptical of asking people for help. I always thought of me asking for help as I'm bringing another worker into my business, and I just didn't want people getting too comfortable saying, oh, well, that was my idea. I eventually got out of that. The way that I got out of it was I just asked the people who I trusted completely for help. Because some people, they just ask anybody for help. A friend that they've met maybe in college and they've only known each other for a year. Okay, yeah, we're college friends, but we're not close friends. That's what I'm trying to get my point across. Your college friends, they may not feel that way, but I feel like you should ask people who are close to you, people you've known for years, for help. My number one supporter in my business is my mother. I ask her for help all the time, and she's always open to help when I need it. So just pick and choose the people that you really trust to help you with your business. Okay, so you see I have social media platforms. This also goes within the basics of starting a business. My first bulletin, it says use social media as your advantage. Social media is, the top way to advertise your business. That's number one. You can go around still and, do flyers, do business cards, all that type of, things. But social media is the top notch right now. Like you can't not use it, it's free. It's there for a reason. Instagram has a shopping area, like a shopping, I guess you can say, portfolio where you can start your business or a shop on Instagram. So use it. You can make a business account on Instagram, and you can also do that on Facebook. I'm not really sure on TikTok or Twitter, but my businesses, I get a lot of my customers from Instagram, but a lot of them are from Facebook. But I do get a good amount from Instagram. When it comes to making your profiles, like business profiles and everything, just read the instructions, because especially on Instagram, it can be very tedious in a way, because there's a lot of steps to get approved for your business being, on the social media platform. So just make sure you read the instructions and go through all the steps and make sure everything is correct before you hit confirm and review and all that jazz. My next bulletin is just make sure you have the funds. It's always better when you have all of the money that you would like to spend on your business before you start your business, I guess you can say. It's just a lot easier and less stress. Remember I said leave that stress. You want to be stress free. My next bulletin is have practice material. That's very important. You always want to practice on your craft before you start selling it, because you don't want to sell things that aren't really great, and then when someone gets that quote unquote practice product, they don't like it, and so they won't buy it again. Just always practice what you're doing before you start selling. I would always say have friends and family try out your products and then ask for their honest feedback. Because I feel like, those are the people you trust, so they'll be honest with you. If your products aren't the greatest, they'll let you know, like, hey, I liked this, but I really didn't like, this, and this. And they're happy and open to explain to you why they don't like it. And it's helpful. So when they give you that feedback, negative and positive, you want to write that down. And then you want to ask the next person, okay, what did you like? And then you kind of want to compare. Okay, they both didn't like the scent, but they love the feel. So you want to take out the scent, and leave the feel of the bar, things like that. So yeah, just never be afraid to ask for advice and help. And I guess you can say, testers. Yeah, because I've had a lot of people who are willing to help me with my business, and they were willing to try out my products, and they were very honest with me, and I very much appreciated it. And that has made my products better. But anyway, the next bulletin is always separate your personal files from your business. You always want to have a separate email, because if you make your website, which we'll get to on the next slide, you'll always, or you should have a comment section where they can be open to emailing you about any concerns or questions that they have about their products or products that they would like to purchase. So you always want to separate other accounts from your business account. Always just make a separate email for your business. That also goes with a PO box. The PO box is really good to have, because when you're shipping stuff, you have to understand that you have to put your address on the shipping label. And when you start shipping to people that you don't know at all, then I honestly believe that can be a safety hazard, because like I said, you don't know who they are. So, and you don't know what people are capable of these days, so you just want to be as safe as possible and just order a PO box, and just do it from there. It also depends on if you want a business number or not. I wouldn't think a business number when you're starting a business is that too important, but I feel like once you get more sales and orders, a business number wouldn't hurt. But that just depends on what you're selling and who you're selling to, because there's businesses around the world that do multiple things, so that really just depends on you and what you're doing and selling. But my last pinpoint is always choose the best website maker, and that goes into my next slide. When it comes to website makers, I truly believe that the best website to use for beginning businesses is Big Cartel. Big Cartel literally has everything that you need. You can connect domains. You can make your domain through Google, and then you can add to it. So if people wanted to look up Bennington Scrubs on Google, I will pop up at the top. I have other things that'll pop up too, like my Instagram and my Facebook. But my business would be the first thing that'll be popped up. They're really good with the look of your businesses. They have a lot of different, I guess you can say, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh man, I'm having a brain fart. Just different things that you can look up on your search for a website, I know with Big Cartel, you do have to pay a monthly subscription, but it depends on how many products you'll be selling. So for instance, my monthly payment is $9.99, and that comes with 50 available products that I can add to my, website. But so far, I only have maybe less than 20, honestly. But yeah, I mean, 50 products on your website for $9 a month, that's not bad at all. Like, that's actually really good. What else do they have that's really good? It shows you who sees your product. So if someone clicks on your website, it saves that information. It'll show you how many clicks you have on your link every day, every single day. That'll show you. And it also adds everything together. So like from the start of your business, and then from their point, from there on after, it'll tell you how many total visitors you've had since 2020, since you started. It keeps track of all your receipts, all of your orders that have that been purchased obviously through your website. It just keeps track of everything, and it's just really good, especially for a beginner. So I would recommend Big Cartel for sure. But I would also say that Shopify, hands down, the best website maker that any business can ever use. I would like to use Shopify. Well, I eventually will, but I really do like where my Big Cartel is right now. But Shopify is great. I mean, Shopify has everything that a business needs. But starting with this first bullet, always look over your website before publishing it to the public, because as a business owner, you want everything to be as perfect as possible, because you want to make a good first impression. If it comes down to it, you can always have someone else look at it before publishing too. Have someone you trust look over, and they may pick up on mistakes that you didn't pick up on, which is always great, because like I said, you want to be perfect when it comes to your business and your website. Another thing that I would say is always take good pictures and explain your products well. I like to add my ingredients to my product's description, just because I just don't want someone to order something that they're allergic to, which I'll get to in a second. But I just want people to know what's in my products before purchasing, because if they order something and then they're allergic to it, then that can be a huge problem, which gets to my next point. Warning labels can save your business and you, especially if you don't have like an LLC or anything in that sort. You really just want to make sure to protect yourself at all costs. If you have a product that contains something that a lot of people are allergic to, your best bet is just to put on your website, warning, this item this item contains milk, or this item contains peanuts. I have a lot of my products that contain almond oil, so I say, this contains almond oil. It's just better for you to protect your business and yourself, because if your business doesn't have it, then they're going to come for you if you get sued. Let's just say it like that. You always just want to protect yourself. When people make orders, I always do a piece of paper of everything, just welcoming them, saying that my products are handmade and they're natural. So I'll let them know not a lot of my products have fragrances or dyes in them, because it defeats the purpose of being natural, because a lot of my products are completely natural. So you'll get a natural smell sometimes, but then I also have some products that do have scents to them, and I'll let them know, like, I'll let them know this product is still natural and handmade, but it does contain a fragrance, things like that. But also on my paper, I list directions and I list the ingredients so they know what's in it. And I also list an expiration jar at the bottom of the page. It's not too small, but it's big enough for you to see it. It's literally right next to my logo. And, that expiration jar will let them know, like, hey, this has, a 12-month shelf life, a 2-month shelf life. A lot of my things will either be 12 months or 2 months. So things like that, you really have to pay attention to how to save yourself from getting sued or from hurting someone, because you don't want to hurt anyone with your products. So always just make sure to put your warning labels on everything. But to go on to my last point, make your website feel welcoming and don't overdo it. There's a lot of websites that I've seen that are like very vibrant and loud in a way. I'll call it loud. You would want your website to be very subtle. You want it to feel welcoming and calm, but I guess that just depends on what you're selling. For my website, I wanted my website to reflect my logo, so I want black and white with a nice font, and I tried to have all of my pictures. I'm currently still in the process of switching my backgrounds from the pink that I used to be, because my logo used to be pink and gray, and I upgraded to the black and white. So I just want everything to flow naturally. You want things to make sense. You don't want to just have things not make sense. Yeah. And then, like I said, with Shopify or Big Cartel, there's a lot of options that you can choose from when it comes to making your website. They have a lot of fonts, different colors. If you play around with it, you can find some really good stuff. Like, it's really good. So that concludes my presentation. I really just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. I had a blast showing you and speaking to you on this information about being a business owner as a student. Like I said before, it is hard, but you can do it. I promise that you can do it. Just never give up on yourself. I know some people aren't religious, but do what you need to do to make your business better. Never give up, because if you started your business, that means that you can succeed in your business. So never let anyone or even yourself tell you that you cannot do it. If you want to, I've put down my more recent social media platforms that I'm on. Instagram and Facebook are going to be my two biggest platforms. So you can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Fantasy Scrubs. I actually have two Instagrams. I have a personal account, which is AMOUR_XO___. I kind of do selling on both of my accounts, so you can always follow me on that one. But Fantasy Scrubs is where I'll post majority of my products. Facebook, I'm always on Facebook with my products. TikTok, I am new to TikTok, so bear with me, it's coming. But like I said, thank you for having me, and I wish you guys all the best in school and starting your business, and you all be great.